All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's class, Front-End Development Beginner. Uh, well, if I could count, I think this is the 28th, the 42nd class. Wow, because I have 42 slides here. So is that no, it's not possible. That should be 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the 8th or
This
16th or something.
17th.
17th. Wow, we've gone far. All right. So I really appreciate what I've been seeing so far, the submissions and the commitment, and then the will to at least want to do the best thing. I am really glad, and I want us to just keep up with that, and let's keep the energy, the vibe, and I want to see more of classes at night. I want to see more of links like, okay, let's meet tonight, or okay, if you're having any concern, if you have any problem with Masonry, this is the link. There'll be a class tonight. If you're free, just join. I want to see more of links like that because it helps ourselves, it helps us to build a team, and it helps this communication. After this last task, the next one is going to be an individual task, yes, and then the next one is going to be a group task where you have to we are going to have about 5 or 7 groups. Then we're going to group everyone, let's say 8, 8 or 9, 9 into each group. In that case, you have to work together. You have to create meeting link, talk together, collaborate, and all of that. So we should start now by having those links, having those meetings outside, right? So it's going to actually help us by the time we get to that time. So let's just try as much as possible to help ourselves. Okay, help ourselves. I know some of us are good, while some are very good also, but they assimilate, their rate of assimilation is kind of low. Okay, so, but then they just have to like see it again. Maybe someone just have to explain it to them once more. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Okay, you explain, this thing was explained to you in class, but then yes, you get it, but you don't really get it better. So you only need one more person to just do the explanation to you again. So having the class at night again, that will help you to just understand the whole aspect and the concept better. So that's just, let's try as much as possible to send links, help ourselves moving forward. Last week like 2 weeks ago now, we'll be talking about Bootstrap, which is a CSS framework. It's actually deep, and we're trying to build a one-page website from Bootstrap, one page. Yeah, and then we've been able to get to a level where I think we have the navigation with the help of Bootstrap components. We have the main, we have some other sections, and then last week we talked about the masonry using the cards. Or they used grid in their own example, but then we decided to use row and column since the grid seems to be very complicated. So we decided to use grid and column, which I believe most of us understands that. And then we're going to talk about that today again. We're going to like start it all over again so that we can understand better. All right. And at the same time, we're going to talk about the swiper also. Last week we did the swiper, we did the configuration and installation, the linking, but we missed the autoplay. We don't know what was happening with the autoplay, which we're going to check that out today also. So I don't want this class to be more than 2 hours because we've been getting a lot of complaint. Class is supposed to be 2 hours, but then we're having our own class is taking about 3, 2:45 and all of that. So we try as much as possible to make the class not more than 2 hours today. So George, please, I'll take your question, but let's get into class. So the first thing you're going to do is the swiper. Let's go to okay, I think we're using the one page. Reading the one page. If you're not clear while I'm explaining, if you're not clear on anything, just feel free to drop me back and I'll explain again. If you're not clear on anything. All right. So this is the page we are trying to replicate. Okay. So yeah, this is the swiper part. And again, I'll explain how we can actually use two swiper, because in some pages you have more than one swiper like this. more than one section with swiper on your page. So in that case, you can actually have about 2 swiper or 3 swiper on your page. So we'll explain how we can actually do that also. All right. Let's open the Get Bootstrap. Yeah, the website for Get Bootstrap. So this is what we are. This is the design. This is the framework, and then let's go back to our code. Okay, increase this one more. I've not been seeing GZ. In case anyone know what is going on with him, I'll appreciate if you can reach out to him. I've not been seeing him at all for like days. GZ RKO or something. So, all right, navigation, main section, portfolio. Okay, yeah, this is what we are going to do. We all understand how we were able to achieve this first part of the portfolio. That one is very simple. This first part, that one is very simple, okay? So what we need to know is how to achieve the swiper itself. All right, so this is what we are going to do. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove all of this. Yeah, this is the swiper. So that's it. All right, let me open this. Let me start this program. Okay, sorry, I did not save that. Oh, I made a mistake. No, that's not it. Close. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so we want to start from the beginning. We want to build the swiper again from the beginning. Okay, I will look into that. Fine. All right, so after doing this, the testimonial, which is the title, and then the subtitle, which is this, we are going to have a swiper just below that. And then we explained to ourselves last week that, okay, for us to have a swiper, right, we we go to the swiper website, swiper.js, right, to achieve this. So let's do that. Swiper.js.com. Must have done something wrong. I need to copy the card because I don't want to build that card again all over. So let me just copy the card somewhere. Yeah, this one. Copy it. Yeah, let me just copy this so I don't lose it. Okay. Now this is the Swiper.js. This is the library for Swiper. Swiper.js is the library. So now we need to get started, or we can actually go to docs. Either you use get started there or you go to docs here. But from what we have been explaining to ourselves, it is good to always locate the docs on the website, on the library. So look for the doc and then we click on get started. It's the same thing as this one also. When you're using React or Vue or any other thing, so you go to all of this one, React, Vue, and this. But for now, let's just click on get started. Since we are using just HTML and CSS. All right, so yeah, this is it. Now, using React, like I said, or some other NPM module stuff. So you are going to use all of this install, NPM install, and that. But in our case, we are not using that. We are using the swiper CDN. All right. So the first thing we need to do, I said, if you don't want to include swiper files in your project, which means by downloading it, we don't like that. We don't want to use that. You may use it from CDN. These following files are available. So this is the first thing that you paste in your header, which is the style sheet. And then this is the second one that you paste Okay, yeah, the script that you paste at the script part of your page. All right. So, but one thing I noticed last week was the arrangement of the swiper, which I'm going to see how that works exactly. I don't know if that's actually the problem last week. We're still going to see that. So then I pasted the script here and also the link, the swiper link. Where is it? Yeah, the swiper link, we pasted it here. All right. So having done that, now we need to add the swiper HTML layout. Forget about this downloading asset or anything. So the next thing is to add the swiper HTML layout to our page. Then, okay, we copy this like this. You can even copy to the comment, right? And then where do we want to paste it? We want to paste it inside the testimonial section, which is going to be under this is supposed to be under this container small, but since these texts are not wrapped, right? These texts are not wrapped. So we can either wrap the text inside a div, or we just create another div and give it container small. I'll actually not prefer this. I'll prefer that we have container small one, and then we wrap this in the div, and then we can drop that swiper under that div so that everything will be inside a single container small. But that doesn't really mean anything, sure. So now after doing this, we paste our swiper. The layout that we copied, we paste it inside the container small. Why do we even create a container small? Because looking at design like this, we have a container, which means the width of our content is not up to 100. They are all inside the container. And the container, what does the container do? It specifies a width for our content, which means it could be 80%, it could be 90%, and then we're going to centralize the content, which is what this is to do. Let's see what we have from our own page. All right, so this is the swiper from what we have on our own page currently. If I did not have the container small, then the swiper is going to extend to, okay. So this, okay, without the container small, I think it's still okay like this, even without the container small. I'm assuming it's taking the size of the container, but let's just go with the container small since we have been using the container small all around. All right. So we have the slide 1, slide 2, and then slide 3. So after doing that, let me just remove this first. Okay. Let's assume we don't have anything yet. Where is the swiper? Okay. So we are assuming that we don't have anything from the CSS and the swiper JS script. So we only have our HTML. So after copying this, let's see what we have now. All right, we have this as the slide 1. If you click now, you have the slide 2. Okay, I think since we don't have our JavaScript yet, we don't have our script yet, so it's not going to work. But this is the UI of the swiper, all right, by default, without any function or any CSS. So after doing this, what next to do is go back to your swiper library. Then the CSS, swiper CSS style, this is it that you need to copy. So we copy that and then go back to our CSS and then paste it somewhere. Let's just paste it on that here. All right. Then let's put the comment swiper CSS. Well, like I said earlier, or like we've been saying, it's not good to pass height to a content, right? It's not really good because when you pass height, then it's not going to be easy to arrange the responsiveness. You understand? So, but in our case, we don't want to pass height. We can either say height auto. That means the height should take the content height, whatever height the content is supposed to take, then the height should take that. Or we just remove the height entirely. But let's just go with height auto, which will also work fine. So let's save that and then see what we have for now. All right. Now the width is now giving us 600 pixels, right? This is the width, and then the height is auto. It's taking the content height itself. Now in our case, from the design, we see that this our swiper is actually from here to this place, which is 100%. It's taking 100% width of the parent container, which is a container small. So instead of having 600 pixels, you're going to give it just 100% directly. So remove this and then pass 100%. Save it. And then let's see what we have now. Go back to your demo. Right now we have our actual width 100%. So after doing that, that means we are done with the CSS. And let's go back again and see this is the initialize swiper. That means finally we need to initialize swiper inside a JavaScript file. So the first thing we did was, all right, copy this initialization. After copying this, now go to your file. Let's assume we don't have this swiper.js before. Just go to your file, what you have been doing normal, right? Just create a different file like this and then do it swiper.js. Remember, the extension has to be .js. CSS styles to styling is .css. Index, your HTML syntax is .html, while JavaScript is .js. So, but we don't need to create another one since we already have swiper.js here. So after creating that, just that thing that you copied, come down and then paste it inside the scripts that you created yourself. And remember, this script is a custom script. It's a script you created yourself. When you create a script, just like we are linking our CSS to our HTML, you have to link your swiper.js or whichever script that you created to your HTML also. So doing that, you know that CSS and links are mostly at the head, inside the head of our HTML, while JavaScript, which is called script, are located at the bottom of our body, just right before the closing tag of the body, just at the bottom of the body, script. So script is used to link a JavaScript file to your HTML file. And doing that, you just have to type script, right? You can either choose this script or choose script source, which will now prompt you to now put the name of the file that you created, which is swiper.js. Remember, swiper.js that you created, swiper.js. And that's that. Now, remember, I said for you to be sure that, okay, my script linking is working perfectly and is correct, you have to just over on the swiper.js, hold your control and over on it, control over on the swiper.js, and then click. You can either use command or control. If you're using command, if you're using Mac, you use command and then click on it. If you're using window, you use control. So then it's going to take you to your swiper.js file. That means, okay, your linking is correct and working fine, right? After doing that, now let's save the script. Come to CSS script, save, and then come to your index and then save. Remember, everything is step. The first thing you need to do is to link the swiper.js script from their own CDN script. Link it and then link the link, which is the CSS link also. Then after doing that, copy this HTML layout, which is this, starting from the swiper and then down to the swiper scroll bar. Then after doing that, copy the CSS file, the CSS property from the swiper website, paste it inside your CSS like this. And remember to always change the width. Decide the width, don't even change it anyhow. Just decide. You don't have to use 100%. Maybe the website you're building, their swiper is just by one side, let's say 20%, give it 20%. And then if there is a height specific, give it a height specific. So that's just this one. You can decide how you want this to be on your own, right? And then after doing that, the next thing is for you to copy the script, which is the JavaScript script, right? Which is this. And then for you to do that, you don't just paste this anywhere. You can either paste a script inside the HTML, right? You can paste a script inside the HTML like this. Just create a script, an opening tag of a script and a closing tag like this. And then paste your JavaScript file inside this place or JavaScript syntax inside this place. It's going to work fine because in this case, you don't need to link anymore. Already, the script is inside the file like this. You can just copy this like this and paste it inside this script like this. So this is going to work fine also, but it is not best practice. It is good to like separate concerns. Whatever is for JavaScript will be for JavaScript. Whatever is for HTML will be for HTML. Whatever is for CSS will be for CSS when it's come to creating a file, right? So now we don't want this. That is just an explanation. So now let's save that. We create a different JavaScript file, which is swiper.js, and then we copy whatever we copy from there and paste it inside the swiper.js. So now let's study the swiper.js. First, let's go and see what we have currently with the UI that we copied, the layouts that we copied. So we're supposed to see slide 1 as the first slide. Let's see the Bootstrap demo. All right. Okay. What's this? We come in, see what the problem is. Swiper.js. Okay. All right. So for now, we are having a vertical scroll. That's what we are currently having, a vertical scroll. And then we didn't give height. We gave height auto. That's why the thing is misbehaving. So the first thing we need to do is to change this vertical. Change the vertical toward horizontal. Vertical is just vertical, y-axis. While horizontal should be the x-axis from here to here. So we change this vertical to horizontal. That's the first thing. Horizontal, right? Save it, and then let's see what we have now. Fine. That means we have something really nice now. And then in this case, because we have not done anything else, we only change direction to be horizontal. Then we are having this behavior. We're having just a single slide per view, right? So, but in our own case, we have how many slides per view? We have 3 slides per view. But before we do that, let's find a way to remove this scroll bar because we don't have a scroll bar in our UI, this design that we are following. There's no scroll bar. What we have is just a pagination, and then we don't have a navigation also. But let's take it one by one. Firstly, let's remove the scroll bar. First, remove that scroll bar. Go to our index.html. Go to where you paste the swiper, right? Now, just look at the classes. The first one is the swiper wrapper, which contains the swiper itself. Then we have swiper slide, which is each of the swiper slide, each of it. And then we have the swiper pagination div. So this is for pagination, this pagination here. This pagination 1, 2, 3. While this swiper button next and swiper button previous is for navigation, for you to click next and previous like this. So that should be this, next and previous, okay? And then the swiper scroll bar is this, which we don't have in our design. So how do we remove it? You remove it by just commenting it out. You can remove it like this, since we don't need it, or you can comment it out. I like to comment it out in case sometimes I may want to use it, but sometimes you want a very neat code. You don't want to have some things you're not using, so just remove it. All right, now let's save that and see what we have now. Okay, the scroll bar is out of line. So the next thing is, now let's check again what we have. Okay, I think we don't have the navigation. So for us to remove this navigation, we have to comment this out also, or we just remove it. But I wouldn't want us to do that yet, right? Because we want to be able to see if our page is navigating first. Then when we are done with the navigation and then the auto play, then we can now remove this one and then see how it's going to look like. All right, so since we're going to skip that part, the next thing we're going to go to is how to make our slide per view to be what? I must have, I think I make, the card I copied, I have, oh my God, I copied something else. Does anyone know how to open a clipboard? A clipboard when you copy with Mac. I forgot how to open a clipboard when you copy. Okay, I will just have to undo because I can't build that anymore. I'll have to undo everything I've been doing. Okay. Okay, Option Command V, Shift Command V, Option Command V. Someone gave me something to use, Option Command V, but then it's not working. Oh shit. Okay, let's see if we can go back to everything. I've copied it now. Okay, I think I'm good. I've copied it. Hopefully it's still going to be there. All right. Control Shift V. Comment. Let me just comment it out. Let me see the Control Shift. Control Shift V. This is Control, this is Shift, and then this is V. It's not working. All right. I think we are good now. So now let's save this. Let's see what we currently have before we move forward. I don't want to rewrite that thing. It's going to take my time. Okay, so like we're saying, we want to have 3 items, 3 slides per view. So how do we do that? We don't know how to do that. We already have the swiper.js. Wow. We don't know what to do next because this is our first time using the swiper. And then we don't know if we are going to go to our CSS to do anything to make it 3 per view. We don't really know that. And then from our index, there's nothing that shows us that, okay, in this case, you can change something to make it 3 slides per view. So the first thing we need to do, or the next thing we have to do in that case, is to go to the swiper.js website, go back there and continue with the documentation that we were going through initially. So after doing this, we've copied this initialization. I said, what next? Right? That means what next is how do you customize the swiper to fit into whatever you want. So for us to get that, we go to the API documentation. So we go to the API documentation. From there, we can now see every custom or customizable or whatever API that we can use to make our swiper look really nice and however we want it. We already copied this, the layout, so we are good with that. We don't need this CSS because, yeah, we don't need it. All these ones are for, say, React and other ones like that, so we don't need them. Okay. So what we need, they say initialize swiper. Okay, we don't need this too. So yeah, the parameter. So under the parameter, we have different or multiple parameter that we can use: allow slide next, slide previous, touch move, auto height, auto play, and all of that. Okay, so what we need exactly is a slide per view. So let's look for slide per view. Let's look for slide per view. I think I saw it somewhere before. Slide per view. Okay, yeah, under the breakpoint, we have our slide per view. All right, but I think we were in class last week when I talked about the responsiveness at the same time when you are considering your slide per view. So here we have the slide per view 1. This one means 1 slide per view. All right, but I will not copy that. I would rather use the breakpoint slide per view instead, because this breakpoint means it's giving me the responsiveness immediately that I'm actually copying, that integrating the slide per view. So I don't want to copy the slide per view first and then now copying the responsiveness also at the breakpoint. So let me just use the breakpoint directly. Now copy this and then go to your JavaScript. This is the JavaScript file. Go to JavaScript and paste it somewhere, right? I like to paste my breakpoint at the bottom of the JavaScript script. Now let's save it. Okay, save it now. So now try to study your breakpoints. Okay, they said on 320 screen, or when window width is greater than or equals to 320, right? That means between 320 and 480 pixel, you want to have how many slides per view? In our case, we only want to have 1 slide per view. So we reduce this to 1, right? After that, now go back to the next one, or go to the next one. When width is greater than or equals to 480, that means between 480 and 640, how many slides do you want per view? That should be, let's assume we want 2 per view. Okay. And then between 640 and, which this is kind of too small, let's just say between 480 and 800. We just use 850. Okay, we want 3 slides. No, we want 2 slides. Our tablet should have 2 slides per view. Our tab, yeah, should have 2 slides. And this is tablets. Let's use let me use this. Let me say, I don't need this instead, right? I only need this. coming. When the width is greater than 40 to 8, that means we want 2 per view. All right, so we change this one to 850. Okay. And then 640, we don't need 640 when we already have. This is really confusing. Okay, let me see what we have first. Let's just see, then we can now manipulate it later. Okay, so let's go to slide per view for larger screen, which is going to be 1240. Let's just use this 1240. Okay, so we say slide per view, we want to have 3 slides per view. 3 slides per view, and then we want the space between to be 30. And let's say, then let's see what we have. Okay, so currently we have 1, 2, and 3 slides per view. All right, let me refresh these. Where's my navigation? What's causing the behavior? Okay, let's try something. I don't know why that behavior is like that, but I just see what we can do like this. After this navigation, drop this. By default, we want to have 3. That's by default, and then remove this for now, right? And then say on a small screen, we want 1. Now let's save. Okay, so here we have 1, 2, has to be 3, not 2. Slides per view. Let me check my screen size. It's okay. We have 425, 768, 1024. 1024. So that should be 3 instead. And then I don't want this. 1024 is laptop screen. Okay. I don't quite get why. Remove that first. Why is the navigation disappearing? What's causing that? Okay. Let me bring this back. All right. I don't quite get why the navigation is disappearing. But that we are going to fix it. All right. Now it's getting weird. Just going on. Swiper view, navigation, swiper button, next. Don't understand. No, I'm so confused. Why? Okay, let me just refresh. What's going on? Let's see this. Okay, Come in, remove this, remove this. Let's just leave it that way. Remove this. Let me just remove all of this. All right. Something wrong somewhere. Something is wrong. Okay, let me close this up. Remove this. Okay. Now let's go back. Let's take it one after the other because I don't quite get why that guy. Okay, so breakpoint 320. That's on a small screen. I want one slide. Then on a tablet between 640 and 104, I want 2 slides per view. And then on a laptop, I want 3 slides per view. So on a very big screen, I want 4 slides per view. So let's save it now. Okay. I don't know this behavior actually, but let me save this. I don't know if I'm getting something wrong. Uh, okay, I'm going to do it this way. Stop live server. And I'm going to run it again. So what is going on then? Okay, let's see if we can just continue whatever it is that we have. We have swiper navigation and then this. Or yeah, should be there. Why should it not be there? We have our navigation, swiper next, and then pagination. Currently, we are not even seeing any pagination. Well, let's go back. Let me remove this first. I honestly don't know what the problem is. Okay. Okay, I'm guessing because it's just three. It's because it's just 3 per view. So we don't have anything to navigate left or right since it's just 3 per view. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So currently we have 5 slides. So since we have 2 inside, that means you can either scroll to the left or navigate to the right. Okay, I think that makes sense now. All right, so um having done with the breakpoints, are we together? Are we together? Let me see your hands up if we are together. I was just trying to see why the okay, fine. If you're confused, just please let me know so we can explain what happened here. But basically it was just because initially we were having just 3 and then we set the desktop to be 3 per view. So there was nothing to navigate to. So now we made it 5 and then we have the navigation and then the pagination. So let's go back to our swiper. Right? We fix the breakpoints. We say 320 for small screen, 640 for tablet screen, and then 1024 for desktop, 2560 for TV screen, which are big screen TV. So, and the idea of this is greater than or equal to That means between 320 and 640. That is greater than or equal to 20, and greater than or equal to 640. Between 640 and 124, that's what we want here. Between 1024 and this, we want 3. So that's the idea of the breakpoint. So yeah, let's go back to our swiper, right? So the initial layout that we copied is, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So the initial JavaScript file we copied, we have direction, vertical, loop through, and then all of this scroll bar. So we removed the scroll bar because we don't want it. We already did that here. And then the loop, let me just do it this way. Let me copy. Let's use it from that. This is the one I had initially. So, or I can just comment everything out. So we start all over again, and then we don't get confused. Okay, save that. Now I want to copy this and then start the whole process again. So let's drop down here. This is the first thing. So we change this to horizontal, and then we need our breakpoints. So sometimes you may not even need to copy those things when you already have it offhand. So we need our breakpoint, and then we open it this way. So we say the first thing 320, right? We give it slides per view. Slides per view should now be how many? For small screen 1, space between, just give space between to be space between. That should give us, let's say 20. All right. And then the next thing, put your comma. We have which one? For tablets, 640. All right. So from 640, we want slides per view should be 2. And then space between should be 40, right? And the next one should be 1024. Okay. So our 1024 screen should have slides per view should be 3. And then our space between should give us 20, or let's assume 30. All right. Yeah. And okay, so the next one is 20. I can't remember the last larger screen. Let's check it from here. Last larger screen, that's 250 to 560. Okay, so then we have 2560 for TV screens. Slides per view should be 4. And then the space between should now be, let's just reduce it. Let's make it 30 also, doesn't matter. Now let's save it and see what we have now, if we still have the same thing. All right, we're still good. We have 1, 2, and 3. So the next thing is, let's see, okay, we're sliding. Let's check our media query, mobile screen. We should have just 1 per view in our mobile view. Okay, yeah, we have 1 per view in our mobile view. And then let's check our tablets. Let's use iPad 12. Let's use this one. No, this iPhone. I need iPad 11 Pro. Let's see what we have. Should have 2. All right, now we have slide 1 and slide 2 per view. This is really nice. So let's go back to our normal desktop. Then having done that, the next thing we have to do, now let's replace this slide 1, slide 2, and slide 3 with the actual design that we have here, which we already done that before. So from the card that I copy, I'll just go back to that card, open it, and copy the old card. Like this, uncomment it first, and then cut it. Now, each of the slides, so this one, let's replace it with the card. Drop the card, go to the next slide, drop the card, go to the next slide. Just each card and each slide, So the next one, drop this. The next one, which is slide 5, drop this. Now let's save it and see what we have now. Let's go back to our demo. All right, so we have our card now. We have this and then this as our card. Checking the design, I think we have the same thing. This may be a little bit lighter than our own, but we can always fix that. And also the color of our column, this one, we can also fix that later. So let's change the images so we see how the whole stuff is behaving. So we're going to change the images. From the first one, we have image 1. We have image test 1. The second one should be test 2. Third one should be test 3. The fourth one should be test 4. And the fifth one should be test 5. So I won't be changing the content, the name, and all of that. Let's just change the image and then we'll see. Okay, fine. Now we have our swiper swiping. Okay. So let's put the next thing for us to do is to make it automatic. We want it to play automatically, which was what we had, the issue we had from last week. All right, so let's do this. Let's do this. From what I noticed and I observed is your autoplay should be above your loop. That's what I observed. Let me close this breakpoint and then let me bring autoplay. I don't want to go to swiper again because you already know that, okay, we can use autoplay, but let's just go to swiper and look for autoplay from the documentation. So since we want an autoplay, we just look for autoplay from parameters. Here is the autoplay, right? So we copy this autoplay like this and then paste it. All right, paste it here and save. So we have a delay of 500. Normally, this is supposed to work without even us doing any other magic. So I think it's working. Let's see if it's working. No, it's not. No, it is not working. So the next thing we need to do, from what I've noticed, we have to bring this our loop below the autoplay. Okay, let's assume if this is going to work. Still not working. Okay, we're going to fix that. This same issue from last week. I was able to fix it. Let's see. Swipe a script. Paste this. Save this. All right. Well, I don't really know what the problem is again anymore, but we're going to fix it. Autoplay. Let's add first. Let me add speed.
Sir, I think he moved.
It moved.
Yeah.
Speed. Let's say 1000. Save. Okay, let me see if it does. No, I don't think so. Let's wait for it's just 2000 is just 2 seconds. So if it's going to move, then it should move now. So it's not definitely going to move. It's not going to move. All right, so that's not moving. Well, let's see. So we have speed. Okay, this is 5000. Let me use 1000. Let's see what happens. Still the same thing, no movement. Okay, so what is making this thing look very smooth is because of the speed, because I give speed 1000. So the next thing, let's consider when you are hovering. Let's say you want to hover with your mouse. So in that case, there's another parameter that you can use, which is the mouse wheel and then the keyboard. So these two guys, just copy it and then paste it somewhere here, right? We have the keyboard. So you enable keyboard through. That means when you are moving your keyboard, then it should move also. And then the mouse wheel is when you are rotating your mouse, then it should move also, something like this. So if I should I should do this now, I'm only moving my mouse and then it's moving. As you can see, it's just my mouse that I'm moving, right? So that's that one. Let's see what is more important is the autoplay. Autoplay. Why are you not autoplaying? Coming, this is what I used earlier. Let me comment it out, then bring this back. Okay. Okay. So what is the problem? What is the difference between this guy and the previous one? Because Swiper wants to run me mad. Loop is true. So we gave speed 1000, direction horizontal. The same thing, speed 1000, direction horizontal. And then pagination, right? Navigation, okay. And then we have the keyboard and then the mouse wheel. The keyboard and then the mouse wheel. We have autoplay 2000, autoplay delay 1000, loop true, and then the breakpoint. Loop true, and then the breakpoint. So what could be the problem? Why is this? Why? Let's see again if the error is still from our end. The autoplay is working fine. This is swiper. Okay, let's bring it back again. I need to understand why this is not working. Save it, and let's see what we have. Or don't we have 1000? Let me try maybe 2000. Perhaps there's no 1000. Still the same thing. So, wow. Mouse wheel, inverter, autoplay, delete 2000, loop through, breakpoint, scroll bar, navigation, speed, and direction. Oof. This swipe back can be really, really crazy. It's more like me copying the same thing and pasting it, and then it's not working. Okay. Let's swipe 1000, direction horizontal, origination, swiper, scroll bar, keyboard, only in viewport, loop through. Let me remove this first. I don't quite get that for real. Don't understand. But then let's see if we just go with the previous one. In case anyone, if you see anything that is different from what we did, please, I'll actually be glad if you can point it out. You see any difference? Okay. All right, let's just go with this. We have the speed 1000, the direction horizontal, the pagination, the navigation, although we won't be using the navigation, but let's just leave it there. Then the keyboard, like I said, when you are interacting with your keyboard, and then the mouse wheel, when you are moving your mouse. So that's what the mouse does. So when you're going up and down, then it moves automatically without you pressing this or pressing this. So, and then the delay, autoplay delay 2000, and then the loop should be true. So after that, let's see if it's still going to move. Fine, it's not moving. But I still don't understand why this is not moving. Perhaps because something is up, or it's really, really disturbing. Okay, now let's go back to the autoplay, because if you notice, okay, say something.
Let me see. Let us see the other one. The one beneath.
Okay, let's see that. This is the first one. We have the speed, the direction, the pagination, the navigation, the keyboard, the mouse wheel, the autoplay, the loop, and the breakpoint, right? So the same thing, new swiper, the swiper, option parameter, the speed, the direction, pagination, the navigation, the scroll bar. Oh, okay, we don't have scroll bar there. Let's see. Maybe the scroll bar. Yeah, we don't have a scroll bar here. Then we have the keyboard, we have the mouse wheel, we have the autoplay, delay 1000, the loop, and then the breakpoint. So that's just the same thing. This is what I'm going to do. Bring this out, remove it first. And then let's do this like this. Now let's save it if it's going to work also. Uh-oh. I think you cannot have anything above swiper. Wow, interesting swiper. So I'm guessing it's because we have something above this function. That's why it wasn't working. Now it's working fine. See. So I'm noticing that when we get to the middle, this thing is stopping. So let's go back. I actually make a research on that to why it is stopping at the middle. Let's refresh first so we can see that it is actually stopping at the middle. So it swiped the first one, swipes the second one, then it's going to stop. Then I realized that I think it is stopping at the last one, which is number 5. Fine, we pass through to loop, which is expected to like loop around, right? If I should remove the loop now, it's going to come back to the beginning, which I don't want. It's going to come back to the beginning after swiping the first time, the second time. Then we have 5 slides, so it's not going to return back to the first one, which I don't want this. I want it to just go to the next one and go to the next one, keep going forward instead of coming back. So I decided to read through why it is like that. So go to your swiper.js and go to the autoplay. Sorry, let's go to the autoplay. Okay, they say object with autoplay parameters or boolean true to enable, blah, blah, blah. Now let's go to the loop. Since it is the loop that is actually the problem, let's look for a loop. A loop, height, history, init, keyboard, lazy, long swipe, loop. So yeah, they said set to true to enable continuous loop mode. That means keep going, don't just come back the way you come back. But because of the nature of how the loop mode works, it will rearrange slides. So only when the total number of slides is greater than slides per view multiplied by 2. Let's try and understand that. They said total number of slides must be greater than or equal to slides per view multiplied by 2. So that's the only time that continuous loop is going to work. So, but if this is not true, which means if total number of slides is not greater than or equal to slides per view multiplied by 2, this times is multiplied. So this true is not going to work. So how do we know that, okay, this our slides per view is not greater than or equal to slides per view multiplied by 2? So already we know that on our desktop, we have three slides per view. And then if you multiply 3 by 2, that means 6. So it is expected that our number of slides should be minimum of 6. The number of slides that we have should be a minimum of 6. And currently we have just 5. We have just 5 slides, which is actually allowing or not allowing the loop to work as it should work. So I'm just going to create another slide. Let's save this first. And then let's see from the swiper. It's going to stop when it gets to the middle. It's going to stop when it gets to the middle. Let me refresh. Yeah, the first one, and then the second one, and it's going to stop here. So, but then in that case, we want it to keep looping and looping till forever. So we have to create an additional swiper slide. Yeah, we have to do it. Okay, but let's see the one they have here. Since their own is just 5 also, let's see how their own is working. If it's going back or coming from. Okay. Their own is actually it's like it's looping continuously. That's what I see here. So it's either they created another something like this, or I don't know how they were able to come about that for it to keep looping while it is just 5. So our own, we are going to create another one. Sorry. So let's just create another one to make it slide per view multiply by 2. Now we have 6 now. So that means our slides per view multiplied by 2 is now accurate. So let's see again. Let's go back to our Bootstrap demo and see what is going on. Okay, we have this. Fine. Now it is working fine. We have the loop through working as it should. So I don't know, perhaps maybe you guys will have to come about the content to put on the last slide, which is slide number 6. That one is not on the Bootstrap. All right, it's not on the design. So let's just look for an image instead of having a duplicate image like this. Let's just look for an image and a content to use to display instead of that. So after doing this, the next thing we need to do is to remove the navigation.
Hello, boss.
Yeah,
boss.
yeah, Muti.
If you call, just a crazy idea, if you call if you call the 6th slide and then use CSS and put no display, it's not going to work.
Okay, let's see if that's going to work. Display. What's display none for Bootstrap? What's display none for Bootstrap? Nobody? You guys are forgetting things. Display. Let's see. That's a good idea. Okay, none. So it's going to be D none, I guess. D none instead of display none. All right, let's see if since we still have the swiper, we have the number of swiper, then let's see if it's going to work. It should work actually because our swiper is now 6. Oh no, it stopped. George, sorry, idea stopped. Wow. Or let's try something. Let's try. But why? Why? Let's just go with this. Let's go with that. We'll see what the problem is later. So the mistake we did last week, number 1 was, remember, try as much as possible. All this library, sometimes they misbehave if they don't have their script where it's supposed to be. So the first thing I did was copy this and paste it on top. Copy the swiper.js script and paste it above all scripts, right? After doing that, now remember to put your loop beneath or at the bottom or immediately after your autoplay. Don't put your loop before your autoplay. Try as much as possible to put your loop after your autoplay. Let's assume that we put it before the autoplay and see. Let's say it should work because that thing is just a normal arrangement. It's still working, so that's not even a problem. So just try as much as possible to ensure that your script here is at the top of the page. Sorry, at the top of all scripts instead of at the bottom. But then let me still try it if that is what is actually causing the problem, because it's good to see what the problem is. Let me paste it here and see. Fine. So what happened last week? Why was this thing not working last week? Because we did the same thing we did last week also. So everything is working fine, whichever place that the CDN is. But still, in case we are facing that error, we are facing the issue of the swiper not autoplaying, let's just first thing, create another slide, make it 6, right? And then copy your script, your JavaScript swiper script above all other scripts. And also try as much as possible to put your loop below the autoplay. It's just a way of debugging what the problem is. Just try all of those things, and then we're definitely going to get our swiper autoplay. So now let's remove navigation. We don't want the navigation. Save, go back to index, and then remove this. Now save also and see if we still have our behavior. Okay, so that means we are done with the swiper. Wow, we are already out of time. Okay, so after doing that, let's move straight to this. Bootstrap Masonry. What is wrong with our Bootstrap? All right, so this is the initial arrangement that we had last week. This is the initial arrangement. We've been able to arrange it using the grid. And how were we able to come about that? Close this. So the first thing, we actually visited the Masonry library, which was provided by Bootstrap. Let's search for Masonry. I don't want to talk too much on this anymore because we are running out of time. Masonry card layout. All right, so yeah, just click on the Masonry. From there, you can now get the CDN that you use. This one, copy this one, paste it as part of this, right? Then after doing that, go to CDN this, yeah, whichever one. All right, then we'll copy this, right? We'll copy this, but we are not using grid in this case. We decided to use row and column. So let's just go straight inside our portfolio. We have the class as row, right? Instead of using grid that they use there, we use row, and then we use each of these cards to have a column MD of 6, column large of 4, and then MD4. Why do we do that? Is for us to have 3 different items, 3 different cards, 1, 2, and 3 on a single row. That's why we have to pass 4 for this, 4 for this, and 4 for this on a large screen. Remember, from year to year is 12. So year 4, and year 4. On a small screen, it's going to be 12 entirely. So we don't have to pass anything because by default, column is 6 by default, 12 by default. So on a large small screen, we want it to be 1 item on a row. But then on a tablet, we want it to be 2 items on a row. So this and this, that means we pass 6 for this and 6 for this and 6 for all that one. So this is what we have. Column MD6 for everything. But it's going to arrange by itself. The first 2, then the next 2, then the next one, the next 2. Column large 4 for large screen. 3, 3, and 3, and 3. So, but then how were we able to achieve this behavior that, okay, we have this moving inside another one, and then the arrangement is looking really nice based on the height of this image. So that was with the help of this data masonry, which we copied from here. We copied this. Where is it? Yeah, this one here. We copied it here. But then, since we did not use a grid item, right? We did not use their own grid item. We use our own row. So we had to use this percent position. Just make it to take the position of the percentage of each position. If this image is 80% height, if the height is 80%, then the height is going to be 80%. If it is 40%, it's going to be 40%. And the next image is going to take that sphere or that other space that is left for the image. So that's just the idea of this one. So let me copy this and paste it on the group chat so we can use it also in case we want to use it. I look for, it's not actually here on their own documentation. So I will just drop it on the chat.
It's actually there.
Right? Okay, fine. Thank you. So in case you can't find it, just
Boss, it's actually there.
Yeah. Oh, well. All right. So
but boss, how will we know when to use it?
How do we know
when to use the percentage? There are lots of those kind of entries there if you check.
Yeah. Well, I think if you use one of these, if you use this, it's going to like work fine. You only need to know how to use one of it. I've not tried, the only one I've tried to use was this item selector and grid item. But in the case, since we are not using their grid, so that's why we decided to use this one. I don't know about other ones. I don't know what they do or how those ones work. The only one I know is this guy and then this percentage position. But then, can you direct me to where you see the percent position? George, do you know where the percent position is?
Let me check. I think I
tried to
found
look
it.
for it yesterday, so we can Let's
Let me
see
check.
layout. Let's see layout, image function. All right, this is not it. Let's see options. Item selector, grade. Well, we don't have much time to waste on this. Well, yeah, that's just make sure you pass data masonry and then pass the percent position, make it true. Then you can now decide however you want the view of your column to look like. All right, so we
should go back to the sir.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, to find the percentage something, we have to go back to we have to go back to the bootstrap, like the bootstrap machinery, but not here actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we click on the masonry, like that link, masonry.
Okay.
Or is it the demo
Right.
example? Yeah, masonry. Yeah. Okay. Okay, then it should
It's
be the
supposed to
demo
be.
example. Let's
Yeah,
go
it
to
should be the
demo
demo.
example.
Okay. Just click on the demo example, see how that works.
Yeah, this place.
Okay, yeah, it's data masonry.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So since we are using a row, yeah, then we can now copy this one and then put it there. But then if you want to use a grid from what they provided, then you can just use their own data masonry property and paste it wherever you want to paste it. So we're able to achieve this. That's number one. Then after doing that, we now have this over effect on each of the card. We want to have this over effect on each of the card. The first thing we did was, okay, you guys remember that when you want something to be on another, you want a content to be on a div, you give that content position of absolute so that absolute will actually make it to not contain its own position and to be flexible to want to stay on another content. So that's the same thing we did. We decided to use the first one as an example, and then we can now copy and paste to other ones. But let's just focus on the first one first. Let's see how we can forget this one for now. Let's see how we can put this background of this image. So I'll just do this. All right, so the first thing I did was to create a card inside of this column, create a card, right? And then we'll put our image inside the card. That's the first thing. After creating the card, we put the image inside the card, which is this image, this background image is our image, right? After doing that, we now created that div that we want to be on top of the image. We created that div, give it text. We call it a text. And then we try p-web3, p-web. And then this one, we represented this with E and then this with P because we don't want to go and start looking for this icon right now. Or let's just do that sharp. We have the plus and then the link icon. Okay, I think we still have more time. I have like 25 minutes to go. Let's look for Bootstrap icon. All right. Oh, let me just search for it. Okay, that's it here. Icons. Okay, so let me search for plus sign. Plus sign. Yeah. I can actually use normal plus, but it's best, let's just follow this, copy the icon, and then here, instead of the P, paste your plus, and then the next one is going to be a link. I think a link or a tag. Let's just see the one that we see. Start with link. 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 Okay, I think this is it. So copying this and then pasting it here instead of the P. Now let's save it. All right, so I used deflex, right? And then I gave, let's give, what do we give? GX, that's gap between the two. Let's see what I gave initially. Gap between the two should have, that's GX, let's just give 4, and then let's save it. All right, so what is happening here exactly is, inside our column, we have a card. The card contains all of this. The card contains the content, the image number 1, which is the background, and then the content on top of the card. Okay, so now, sorry, the content on top of the image. So we now give the content text. We call it a text, right? So inside the text, we have P, which is app 1, and then app itself. So let me just make it like that. App 1, and then app, that's the second one. So we have app 1 and then app, and then we have this one and this one inside another div, which we give deflex, and then gap should now be 4, right? So let's save it and see what we have first. I want to remove this. Let's remove this, this, and this, as well as this, and this. Okay, remove all of these. Remove this. Stop pressing me. Okay. And then remove this first. Remove this also. Now let's save it. So for now, we don't have position on top of the text. It's just a normal text. We don't have a position on top of the text. So let's see what we have on our own demo. So this is where we have it, app, right? App 1 and app 2. You can, the other one is actually hidden somewhere under this one. But because we don't have a position absolute for it yet, so it's misbehaving. It's not misbehaving, but it's where it's supposed to be. So the first thing we need to do is to target the text itself and give it a position of absolute. So, and this is it. Uncomment this, right? Remove this one first. We don't need it for now. So the first thing was to give it position absolute. Let me remove this also. Save it. Then after doing that, let's see what we have now. Our app is now located on top. It's now staying on top of our image, right? So after doing that, we want this app not to be at the edge. We want it to be at the center. We can use two things. We can do two things. We can either say left, right, top, bottom, or we can give width, or we can say display flex and item center, which I'll prefer the second one, which is the display flex and item center. But then when you're using flex, justify content and all of that, you have to use it inside the width and the height, all right? Because if you say display flex, justify center, which center is it going to take? Let me show you that. Firstly, let's give it a background. So we see the content width itself. Let's see the background. So give it a background like this. Okay, coming. Remove this first. Okay, so the background, yeah, this is just the background. So in this case, when you are saying display flex, item center, justify center, it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to remain there because it's going to assume that, okay, I'm already at the center of myself. Let's try that. Display flex, justify content center, and then item center also. Oh, still is giving me. I think I'm going to comment it one by one, so we can use it one by one. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to give justify content center and align item center. Now let's save it and see what we have. All right, so this is what we have currently. Everything is still where it's supposed to be. It's not just, normally it's supposed to come to the center, but because there is no height and width, that will give it that space so that it can come to the center, then it's going to assume this is the center of whatever it is that I'm talking about. So, but then what do we do? How do we make it come to the center of this image? So we give, we pass width 100%. That means I want this content width to be from here to here. Okay. And then we pass height 100% from here to here. So that's what we did here. Height 100 and then width 100. Now let's save it and see what we have. See, fine. Now the background is from here to here, 100, 100. And then the content is now at the center of the image, just with the help of our display flex, justify content center, and align item center. But in this case, our content, sorry, our text is having a display flex row behavior. From the design, it's supposed to be on a column like this. So what do? We change that direction back to be a column instead of being on a row. So what do we do next? Go back and see flex direction, column. Now save it. And let's see what we have. Fine. Now our text content is looking really nice on the page. Now, the next thing is to change the color. This is white. Make this one bigger and then this one a little bit smaller. So let's go back. Let's go back to, I can just change everything to be white here, right? Save it. Go back to our index. Make this one class, say FS1, if it's not going to be too big, FS5 class. Just leave this one like this. Let's leave it like that. Okay. All right, I think it's okay like this. Now let's change our icon. Let's increase the size of our icon. FS5 also. FS5 also. Save it. Let's see what we have. That's too small. 3. Okay, that's better. Now we have our content on top of our image. This is the first thing we have to do. The next thing is, forget about this one for now. Let's just focus on this inside. All right. Now, the next thing now is we want that content to not be visible when we are not hovering. We want it to be visible only when we hover on that image. Only when we hover on that card, that's when we want it to be visible. So what do? First thing, go to your style. Now you say, okay, I want, okay, let's look at the behavior of what they have here. Just look at the behavior. See, the content is more like it's coming inside. Sorry, outside, and it's going back inside. It's coming back, it's coming outside, and then it's going back inside. That behavior seems to be a scale behavior. That means if you mouse out, it's going to like scale inside, and then when you mouse over, it's going to scale outside. Just look at it: scale inside and scale outside, scale inside, scale outside. So what do we need to do, right? Just give it, when you are not hovering like this, when your mouse is out, give it a scale of 0. Scale of 0 means I don't want to see anything. Scale is 0 means I'm not seeing anything. And then when I hover, I want to see scale 1. Scale 1 means go back to default, the way you're supposed to be. So what do we do now? Transform. That's the property, CSS property for scaling. So transform scale is 0. That's the first thing. Now let's save it. So when you're not hovering, there won't be anything. As it is right now, there won't be anything. But we have not passed a property to our card that when I hover, anything should happen. That's why when you hover for now, nothing is happening. So how do we do that? That when you hover on what? On your card. So which one is your card exactly? This is our card. This is our card here. So when we hover on this card, we want this text to what? To have a transform scale of 1. So when we hover, we pass over. Let me not just use over because it's really confusing. Let me use card effect. Card effect, card EFF. Okay, so now when you hover on your card effect, right, what do you want to happen to the text itself? So that's what happens here. So I'm going to call my, instead of the over, I'm going to call my card effect. card dash if. All right, so when I over on my card effect, this is card effect over. When I over on it, so what do you want to happen to this guy? That's how this thing works. When I over on this one, I want something to happen to my text. You know, initially my text is having a transform scale of 0. But when I over on the parent, remember, the card effect is the parent to the text. So when I over on the parent, I want the child to have something which is transform scale of 1. So now let's see that. Let's save this, and then let's see what we have now. Okay, I think it's working fine now. So when I mouse out, the scale is going to go back to 0. When I mouse in, the scale will come back to 1. So that is just that. But then looking at it, the behavior is really too fast. It's kind of like too fast, and then we need it to like come in smoothly and go out smoothly. In that case, what do we pass? Can someone tell me what we pass for us to have a smooth effect of this over effect?
Ease in, ease out.
Ease in, ease out. Using what?
Transition.
Transition. Thank you very much. So we just target the parent, right? We target the text itself and give it transition all, is in, out, and then you pass the number of seconds you want the behavior to happen. So now let's save this and see what we have now. Transition all, is in, out, and 3%. So let's see, right? Now this is giving us what we want. I'm thinking this may be too fast. Or I think it's okay. Yeah, we can just go to like 0.4 or something. But now let's do something else. Let's look at this thing properly. It doesn't seem like this is going to scale of 0. It's seeming like the scale is coming to like 0.7 and then it disappears. The scale for that content is not going to 0. Our own is going straight to 0. You see, it's going back to 0, but their own is not going straight to 0. Their own is more like it's going to, it's like 0.8. Like it's going to this place and then it will now disappear. Just look at it. You see, it's going to this place and then it disappears. So how do we do that? To do that, we just pass opacity. So we change the 0 to 0. Let's say 7, and then we now pass opacity 0. That means when you get to scale is 0.7. Now opacity should now go back to 0. That means disappear, which is what we did here. Scale first, go back to 0.7. Okay, so let's see that. All right, currently without overing, this is what will happen without overing. But in this place, we don't want it to be visible. We want it to disappear. And for us to do that is to pass opacity of 0. So let me use 8, right? And then opacity 0. Immediately after the scaling, I want it to what? To disappear. Now let's do that. Okay, for now, we don't have a function for it to come back to 1 when we over. So we pass 0 opacity. So when you over on the parent, you want that opacity to come back to what? To come back to 1. So that's what we did here. When you over on the parent now, this opacity that was 0 initially, I want it to now come back to 1. Now let's see what we have now, the behavior. See, I think this is very, very perfect. This is very perfect. So that's that about that. It's just a process. Now I want to have a cursor when I over, because their own is more like, okay, they're even having, this cursor is just 1. So let's just go with what we have also. Instead of, I wanted to say, let's have a pointer, but I'll prefer we have a pointer. I don't like what they have. So our own should have a pointer when you over on it, a pointer. Okay, so this one, nothing is happening for this one because we don't have anything for them yet. Should we even have a pointer? Since it's not clickable, we don't need a pointer. Since it's not clickable. All right, so having done that, we are good to go on this. Now the next thing is, how do we place this guy, right, and this guy at this position? How do we place the two of them? We can either say, we can do two things. We can either pass, I was thinking if we could just go to our index without using the before and after. If we could go to our index inside the text and create two div. We could create two div, put one by this side, give it a position of absolute, place one by this side, and place the other one by this side. So that when you over, everything will come out at the same time. We could do that. Let's see if we can do that. Oh, 52. Can we do that? No, we can't do that. There's no time. So let's just use the before and after that we've done before. Let's just use that to achieve the behavior. So now we need a before. We need one here, which we assume is the before, and then we need another one here, which we assume is the after. So now this is our before. Before we always have two. Before we always have two colon before the before. So like this, you know, the over will only have one, while the before is always having two colon like this. So, but then we are not using over anymore. We are using what? Card effect. So this is what we are using now. So card effect before. What should be on this card effect before? That's just, I don't know why they come up with that before and after, but that's just what it is. So the first thing you say is content 0. We don't want anything to be inside the before, right? And then we need it to be on top of a content. We need it to be on top. So we do position of absolute, okay? So we now say top, since the first one is the before, top 25, and then left 25, something like that. So we have top 15. Just decide on how you want it to be on your own. Top 15 and left, since it's going to be by this left, top and left. Then the after will now be bottom and right. So this is the after. Where's our after? Okay, this is the after. So the after will now be bottom and right, 15 and 25. The same absolute also. Left here and then right here, bottom and then top. So the next thing is we are giving a width. Before, okay, let's just give it a width by default. Let's say 50 pixel, 50 pixel. This before we even talk about the overing and all of that. If you know that, okay, their own is not until when you over before you have the width. Their own until when you over, right? So let's just go with this. So let's say we have width 50 pixel, height 50 pixel, right? And then we have border top and border left. For the before, border top and border left. Top and left, that's what we have. And then 3 pixels, solid and white. Now we save it. Let's see what we have first in our Bootstrap. Okay, so currently it is there. As you can see now, it is there. I think I'm going to reduce the left to like 15 also. So it is currently there. Currently, it is just there, right? If I should let me reduce this to 15. Okay, this is fine. Yeah. So right now it is there. So we want to say that when I did not over, I don't want you to be there. When I did not over on the parent, I don't want it to be there. That means we are just going to give it what? We can just give it opacity that we used before. Give opacity is 0, right? So this Z index is for it to be on top of everything. So you guys understand that already. Opacity is 0. This is by default. Without me overing, by default, this is what I want you to have, opacity 0. So now it's going to be, that's opacity 0 by default. So when I over, I want you to have what? Opacity 1. As easy as that. So remember, we said our over, sorry, we are changing this to card effect. Card effect. Now we are going to have card effect. Remember, over is always 1 colon, while before is always 2 colon. So when I over on my card effect, I want something to happen to my before. I want something to happen to my before when I over on my card effect. What exactly do I want to happen to my before? Leave this one. I want my opacity to come back to 1. When I over on my card effect, I want something to happen to my before. When we are using a class, we say, when I over on my effect, I want something to happen to my what? To my text. Because this one is a class, that's why we give space and then dot text. But this one is a before, so we have to join it together with the whole sentence, right? With the whole property or attribute or whatever. So we now give it opacity is 0. You get, so now let's see what we have now. So when I over, I have my opacity 0. When I remove, it disappears. Over, opacity 0. remove, it disappears. So I can say that I can pass this transition also to it, so that they can have that smooth effect also. So transition all is in out and 0.3% seconds. See, that's really nice. Now we are having the exact thing that we want to have. So what do we need to do now is to just replicate the same thing for our after. Just do the same thing for your after. All right, so we change this to card effect, after. So the same thing that we do for this one, we do it for this one too. But then in this case, we have to change, instead of using the left and the top, here we are going to use the bottom and the right. So we give width 50 pixel, height 50 pixel, opacity by default should be 0, bottom, border right, in this case, border right and border bottom. So border right and border bottom, and then Z index 50. So when I hover on it, what do I want to happen? When I hover on the card effect, I want to have my opacity to now be 1. So now let's see how that works. Okay, where is the guy? There's something in my code that is wrong, and I know what the problem is, but I want us to figure it out. Are we following me?
Sir, is your spelling of the card effect?
Card effect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I just want to see if we are still following. So we have card effect after, and then card effect over after. So now this is what we have: card effect after, over after, just like that. Remember, our after is still having some kind of behavior that we don't want, because we did not have the transition inside of it. It's just disappearing all of a sudden. So we want it to be smooth. So we do the same thing, copy this transition, and then paste it inside. Don't paste editing transition inside the over. It's not going to work. You have to paste transition inside itself, not the over. So remember to always paste it inside the initial styling itself. So now let's save this and see what we have now. Fine. Okay, so we have our effect as sweet as that. So what do we do to make it applicable to other things? Just to copy this one, just copy the card, just copy this and paste it, replace this. Remember, we don't want to have our image outside, it should be inside. I will need to change that. So this is 3, paste it. This is 4, paste it. This is 5, paste it. This is 6, paste it. This is 7, paste. This is 8, paste. This is 9, paste. So let me just change the image. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So let's save it now and see what we have. Okay, so fine, everything is working perfectly, and it's taking the width of the card, which is the image, because you pass 100 to it. So it's just taking the width automatically, and then as you can see, everything is looking really interesting. So that's that about that. Let's feel free to change the content by ourselves. Just change the content to whatever it is that we have inside of it, right? And then thank you very much, guys. My boss is actually looking at me already. Let me just explain one thing from this one that we said we're going to talk about. The accordion is very easy, right? It's very, very easy. Just go to your Bootstrap and then search for accordion. If you check the one page, we have a place that we have accordion. Accordion is used for mostly what people talk about us, frequently asked questions and all of that. Just this behavior, when you click and then you have a drop down of the content of this accordion. So they call this accordion, right? So from our Bootstrap, just search for accordion, ACCOR. This is it, accordion. Click on it to see how it works. As easy as that. And then you can look for you can even go with the first one. This is how it works. The first one, copy this code, then go to your let's comment this out, or let's just close it up. So we want, let's assume this is frequently asked questions, FAQ. Let's just call it FAQ, right? Remember, we are using a section, so section, and our section should have an ID, right? Section ID, let's give it FAQ, that's the ID. Okay, that's a shortcut to create a section ID. So we have a class. We're going to give the class what? py5 from what we have been using before. And then inside this, we want to have a container SM. Remember, our SM also have py3 because the py5 wasn't enough, right? So we added py3 to our container. And then inside this place, we are going to paste the code that we copied. Okay, now paste the code like this. Now save it and see what we have now. Go back to your display, come down. Now this is our accordion. As simple as that. You don't need to stress yourself. Now all you need to do is to change the content. You can increase the number of accordion that you have. This is accordion item 1. This is accordion item. Just target the accordion item. So copy this. If you want to increase the number, copy this, paste it again, and then paste it again. That's 5. So I expect that we have 5 items of accordion right now. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can now decide to change the content to however you want to change it, and then change this title. As you can see is here, accordion item 3. Just change it to whatever it is that you want to say. Let's assume I miss my class, something like this, like a frequently asked question. And then you're going to see it's going to change also to I miss my class, just like this. So as easy as that, you can feel free to change the behavior however, but remember to always target the ID. See, I copied this one 3 times. That's why I'm having this behavior. When I open one, it opens the 3 ID. Do you understand? So, but I don't want that. Just change the ID of the accordion and then you are good to go. Okay. We're almost done. We're almost done. Where is the ID? Where is the ID? Okay, ID collapse 3, ID collapse 2. The first one is ID collapse there. Where is it? Where is it? Where is this? Okay, collapse 2. Then I'm coming. The first one, collapse 1, collapse 2. This is collapse 3. So we just change the 4. This should be collapse 4. Just change collapse 4. And then the last one, change it to collapse 5, something like that. So you don't have that misbehavior or whatever this thing was giving you. Okay, so I'll check that out and see how we can fix that. So thank you very much. Feel free to still go back to the Bootstrap and then see how you can manipulate this one and make it to your own perfection. And if you just check the Bootstrap templates and see how it is there, and then you can now use it however you want to use it also. Thank you very much. I'm actually out of time, 5 minutes away. So we won't be taking questions because we're already out of time. So feel free to reach out. Just drop your question. Let's meet again right now, immediately after this call on Discord. Drop any question that you have, and I'll be attending to questions now in the next 30 minutes. So because we don't have much time now. Thank you very much, guys, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Let's say something. Let me just say we are still together before I end the call. All right. Bye. All right. Yeah. All right.